All right, Thursday Night Football coming to an end over there in Seattle, and the Hawks not too good. Now 2-3 in the division. The Rams improving the 4-1 win. This one 26-17. When it comes to the QBs, it was all about fingers today. Matthew Stafford injuring his hand coming out of the half there. Russell Wilson as well actually left the game, gave it over to Geno Smith, who actually put this team in the driving seat. And that final drive, leading them and giving them a chance, but of course, a last-minute interception. But Stafford getting his first win in Seattle of his career, now 1-3 all-time out in the West Coast. Putting up 365, a touchdown, and interception. Wilson, of course, I mentioned, leaving the game just 152. And the ground game for Seattle, not good at all. Alex Collins just putting up 47. DK Metcalf, the lone bright spot there, 5 receptions for 98. As I mentioned, that NFC West is definitely an uphill climb, with the Cardinals now undefeated at the top. Right behind them, the Rams and the Seahawks looking up at both of those teams. All right, time to welcome in Jonathan Joseph and Ryan Wilson to recap what we just saw here tonight. And JJ, I'll start with you. Slow start for the Rams, but able to kind of turn it around the second half there. What did you see from LA kind of getting that bounce back win in Seattle?
Yeah, bounce back win for sure. And the first half did not start out very well for the Los Angeles Rams. And if you thought, oh goodness, this is looking like the Rams offense from last week against the Arizona Cardinals, you would have been correct. They strung together some drives, but they didn't have the points to really show for it. And then what did we see there in the second half? They came out touchdown, touchdown, punt, touchdown in their first 4 drives of the second half. And so they finally were able to punch it into the end zone, something that they, again, were not able to do last week. And Matthew Stafford really turned this into the Robert Woods game. There's really no question about it. 150 receiving yards. I mean, listen, we all knew it was going to be the Robert Woods game. Everyone in LA was telling us it was about to be the Robert Woods game, but Cooper Kupp still went out there and got his. Deshaun Jackson still went out there and got his deep touchdown pass. Darrell Henderson was still able to rush for 4.8 yards per carry, and his average this season has been 4.9. He's a guy that I didn't know if he could shoulder the entire load for the entire season, but here we are 5 games through the season, and he's been at a nice just under 5 yards per clip carry, and that is very, very good for the Los Angeles Rams. So liked what I saw from Matthew Stafford in this offense, finally getting it turned on after a slow day on Sunday, a slow start tonight against the Seattle Seahawks defense that, yeah, they're going to have some soul searching here now below 500.
Yeah, Stafford there putting up 234 in the second half there, as you mentioned, turning it on. Ryan, with Stafford, of course, nursing that finger, able to get through it on the other side. Russ having to leave the game. That's all we saw. A Geno Smith sighting there in this one. Any worry for both quarterbacks moving forward here with those hands?
Yeah, there's a ton to be worried about if you're Seattle sitting here at 2-3, and we saw that Russ had to come out in the second half there. He had 3 drives in the second half, 16 yards. Geno Smith, they dust off the mothballs. He comes out and looks like he's the future Hall of Famer with the way he played. 2 drives that he came in on, 144 yards, including a touchdown pass. His first touchdown pass since 2017. He almost led the first game-winning drive of his career going back to 2014, his second year in the league. So he did a lot of things really well. And I don't know if you take some solace as a fan or a coach of Seattle that, hey, Geno Smith can get this done if we need him to. You certainly want Russell Wilson back out there, but it was troubling to see Russ, who was one of the toughest people on planet Earth, not be able to go back out there because he couldn't grip the football. And that's a pretty important part of today's NFL. If you can't throw the ball down the field, especially given how Seattle was trailing, then that's a huge issue. But it was nice to see Geno Smith come out there and play well. And oh, by the way, that interception that he threw, and it sort of felt like Geno might throw an interception at some point, not his fault. Tyler Lockett tripped coming out of his break, got tangled up with Jordan Fuller there in the secondary. There wasn't going to be a flag. There was no flag there, but it was just a tough break for Geno Smith. But a few series worth of bright spots from Geno Smith as well. And I don't know if they ever had a chance to come back and win this game without Russ Wilson, but Geno certainly made it exciting for us to watch. And after a first half, that was pretty hard to get our brains around that 7-3 score at the break.
You mentioned that first touchdown there, of course, since 2017. I'll give you a better one, 1,404 days, in case we were just counting there. But speaking of crazy stats, maybe a crazy play here, Ryan, where we saw punter Michael Dickinson giving us a double punt. I don't think most of us knew how that was going to play out. Have you ever seen anything like that, or did you even know the rule at that point when it went down?
Well, here's the thing. I'm watching it live going, well, you know, Yeah, that's awesome. He picked it. Oh, look at that. He picked it barehanded. That's pretty smooth. Good athletic move. You can't kick it again, Dixon. What are you doing? And everyone seemed to think, including Mike Pereira, the rules official for Fox, that wasn't legal. Turns out it is legal. Our guy John Breach, who spends his life thinking about special teams plays, notes on Twitter, and this is in the rule book, a second kick from behind the line of scrimmage is legal provided the ball has not crossed the line. You could argue that Dixon on that second kick was really close to the line, but his entire body wasn't over, much in the same way we talk about throwing the ball past the line of scrimmage. Your toe has to be over as well, your whole complete body. So Dixon appears, by the letter of the rule, to have followed the rules, although I don't know why anyone ever thought we need to put in the rule book you can kick it twice behind the line of scrimmage. Honestly, Brandon, I don't think Dixon knew the rule. He got away with it. A fantastic punt on the run, a pretty athletic play, and a huge switch in field position.
As you mentioned, they're probably the lone bright spot for them. Seeing that thing go 68 yards, I believe that's what they said during the game there. Big picture here, guys. So if we're looking at the NFC West, you see the Cardinals sitting atop. Nobody bothered them, undefeated. Seattle now at the bottom, looking up at 2-3. If you're looking at this division, JJ, how hard is it going to be for them to kind of climb back up there now that the Rams are sitting in that second place spot?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for the Seattle Seahawks because so much focus now goes to Russell Wilson and that finger. This is a guy who has played and started in 148 consecutive games. It is the longest active streak of any quarterback in the NFL. For some perspective, he's at 148. The guy at number 2 is at 80. And so this is a very legitimate streak that is maybe in danger of being broken. And if it is in danger of being broken, yes, we saw Geno Smith go out there and lead them on a 98-yard touchdown drive. Go out there and show me that again. And go out there and actually play that well for 4 quarters. And that's the story coming out of this game, is what is going to happen with Russell Wilson and that finger. Very fortunately for the Seattle Seahawks, this was a Thursday night game. This was not a Monday night game, so they get 10 days off. They have an early bye. They have a bye in about 3 more weeks, and so that will certainly help them. But if you're talking about their prospects of chasing down the only undefeated team in the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals, are now falling behind 1-0 to the LA Rams. Yes, they hold a tiebreak over the San Francisco 49ers right now, so they're 1-1 in the NFC West. But you do not at all like the prospects of the Seattle Seahawks now under 500 in a division, the toughest division in football, with the last remaining undefeated team in the league.
I'll see how that pans out, of course. He can't do anything without Russell Wilson at the helm. We'll be watching that finger to see how that pans out for them leading this way into the rest of the week there. Ryan Wilson, Jonathan Jones, appreciate your time breaking all that down. When we talk about this win, this is the 4th win in the last 5 tries against the Seahawks. And Sean McVay, I mean, when you talk about it, he's been pretty successful. Best win percentage following a loss, 16-5. Remember, a short week for them, losing to the Cardinals and now bouncing back, as well as getting that first win when you're talking Matt Stafford out in Seattle.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.